finally back with the last episode or the last video in the series of how to create a pattern collection. I'm going to show off the final collection and how I decide on colors and how they go together. And I'm going to do two colorways. So they have one light version and one dark version. I think that could be nice. I hope that you've enjoyed watching the process of me coming up with my ideas, to sketching, to inking, getting them in the computer, and my process of making patterns, and that it's been helpful for you or interesting in some way. I am actually thinking of maybe creating a proper class on Skillshare, so I'm going in the coming year. I think that would be really fun. This has been a really good process and learning experience for me to figure out how to create tutorials in a good way. So I think I've learned quite a few things, and I can definitely improve on that process, and I'm excited to do that. So look out for that coming in January, hopefully, if I can get my act together. What else can I say about my last video in the process? Well, what are you supposed to do with it now that you have created a pattern collection? What I will do is I will add it to my portfolio. I will create mock-ups with the different patterns as a little collection, add them separately, and I will have those also available in my portfolio online to view for different companies who check our stuff out at Swedish Creatures. I will also maybe upload it to Spoonflower or a site like that where you can order fabric, wallpaper, gift wrap, stuff like that, so it's available for sale until I sell maybe or license the work to some other company. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing with the collection. Mainly I just create them to just beef up my portfolio at all times, so always have something new and fresh. It's also something, I usually don't work in large collections like this. I think I did 10. Usually I maybe only do 3 or 4, but so this was a nice learning experience for me as well. I think that I'm pretty pleased with it, how it all turned out. I especially love the main pattern. I think it turned out really beautiful. You'll see, I think the dark version is my favorite. And then I really like that I could create some simpler patterns. They're still a little bit complex because I can't ever just do simple for whatever reason. I always like to do the detailed things. So even my complementary patterns, my blender fabrics, if it was a fabric collection, they were fun to create as well. So that's all I wanted to say about the collection. Now let's jump into a little screencast from my computer, and we can see the process, the last process of me changing colors and tweaking and putting the collection together. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so here we are in Illustrator again, and I brought in all of the patterns that I created for the collection, and I am going to now put them in order, kind of. I have my main pattern in the center, and right now I'm transforming the scale so it looks kind of good, and then I've decided that I have the two florally ones that are pink and blue are kind of like my secondary main patterns, and then I have 3 that are like tertiary main patterns, and then I have 4 complementary simpler patterns. And now that I have them all situated like that, so it's kind of makes sense to me in my head of their order, I'm going to change the colors. And I used the Recolor artwork tool in Illustrator. Here I'm just testing out like the random, just to get some fun ideas. It's just fun to test it out. It usually never comes up with anything that I'm 100% pleased with, unless it's a really simple design that just has a few colors. But when there's so many different colors, I usually want to choose by myself, so it's perfect exactly how I had envisioned it. So I'm taking away the green leaves because I really like the look of monochrome blue gray palette, so I'm making all the vines and the leaves blue. And I really like the look of this, and I think makes it look really 1700s, or like the pictures that I've seen. It's just a look that I enjoyed. And then I'm going to start on a second colorway for this collection with a dark palette. So I'm looking for a dark blue here also, and I think this one looks really good as well. And the same thing here, I have to just tweak a few different things so that the blues pop. Because usually you can't just change the background. That's why I usually make my patterns with a transparent background so that I can switch out the background color really easily. You can do this in the Recolor artwork tool too, but I just do this anyhow. Here I'm just duplicating the collection so I can play around with the different color palettes at the same time. So going back into the dark collection, I'm going to start fiddling around with the different colors, background colors. Sometimes you just have to change out the background color and it makes a big difference, and sometimes you have to just redo the entire thing. I'm going to just start fiddling with this, also playing with the Recolor artwork tool again, just because it's fun to look at. Look at all these weird color palettes, and some of them would be really cool for a different project, but for this I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out here. That one I'm pleased with. Also, I want to add some shadows to this artwork because I thought it was quite flat, and I'm trying to push myself to create work that aren't as flat. So adding shadows is a really simple way to do this. I just duplicated the background, made it flat gray, all the lines and fills, strokes. I made everything gray, and then I just put it in the back and I just offset it slightly so it looks like all the little plants are floating slightly, and I think it has a nice little look here. So this is my process of just making sure that that's all working. Also, because I hadn't completely finished the artwork, I am just going to make sure that everything's fitting together, especially with the added shadows. There's a little bit more tweaking that needs to be done so everything's sitting perfectly. Okay, now that one is finally fixed a little bit better. I'm going to bring it in again to recolor because the shadows are a little bit too dark. I want them to be just very subtle, as you can see there. Made quite a bit of difference. There's just a lot more movement, I guess you can say, or it's a little bit more alive than how it was before. It was very flat, so I like that. I think that would be beautiful as curtains. I'm going to bring that down to the light version because I want the darker version to be a little bit darker. Here I'm also bringing in, I had recolored before a couple of versions, so I'm just going to bring those in just to save some time because I'm really pleased with how they turned out. Here I'm going to show you how I changed the background color to be dark. I'm going to try the dark blue, but I'll later do a gray as I show you because I don't want the entire collection just to be blue. And I'm testing out some other things too, like yellow could have been a nice palette, but it's not really the look I wanted at the moment, but that would have been really pretty too. Moving on to my other secondary or tertiary collection, mini collection within the collection, I guess we can say. I wanted to add these more shadow bars. This is something that my boyfriend Johan came up with the idea for, and I really like the look that it gave. It became also almost a little 3D kind of, which is neat considering it also was rather platt. That's Swedish. It was rather flat. I'm just gonna change them to not have the black outlines because I thought it was a little too distracting. Now I see that I missed one, but I'll go back to that later. I left the yellow for a while, but it's not really working that I can see now. Again, I added it to the to the light version. This becomes a really huge Illustrator file because there are so many complex patterns, so it does take a long time to save. But it's important to work in this way. For me, at least, I have to see everything together in order for me to understand how it's all going to come together. Okay, now we're going to go into the little complementary patterns and test out some versions, and these ones have a lot simpler color palette, so it is quite easy to use the Recolor artwork tool and just randomize until I find something that I like, and then I can just tweak 1 or 2 colors. Like, I really like the dusty dark rose as a background for this one with the dark blue. I think that's nice, and then I'm just changing the little details in the center just to give it some another look with more pink, obviously, because I think this collection is very pink and blue. I lightened up I think I'm going to keep these as they are for the light collection because I really like how it turned out for these. So I'm not really changing anything here. I'm testing out things anyways, but I think I will keep it this way in the end. And I decided to go up here instead, and I'm going to change the backgrounds to be the blues instead. I think that flows a lot more. And a little bit more tweaking because I want them to be quite subtle and light. I could do this all day, the whole recoloring, just the random colors, because it's so fun. And sometimes it's annoying that you start clicking a little bit too quickly and you'll miss some and then you don't get them back. So if you do like any versions, you have to stop and save it and then maybe duplicate and then start over again. And then you can decide on what color palette you like best after that. Okay, so we're pretty much done here for the light version. I really like that everything's light, but there's still some variation with the different colors. There's some background. And then also in the dark version, I'm just going to make some other adjustments just because I want it not to be so similar to the light version. And I do want it to be quite dramatic and darker. And I do like the whole blue version. So here they are, the dark version with pops of pink and grays, shadows, lots of blue obviously, and then the light version with pinks again and light blues and light grays. I'm really happy with the collection and I hope you like it too. Okay, that's it. That's the last video in this series. I thank you so much for watching and taking the time to watch all these videos, and I hope that you look forward to another series like this. You can let me know in the comments below if there's anything that you'd like me to cover or go into more detail. I'd love to do that for you. And other than that, I guess I'll just see you in internet land. Bye!